welcome back to another episode of the Cheater's Guide to FNaF World. Today we'll be taking a look at the fnafw files, the save files that hold the majority of your in-game information. To start things off, we have 3 files all labeled fnafw. They correspond to your in-game save slots, so make sure the one you're editing has the same number as the save slot you're using. For this example, I'll mainly be using fnafw1 since I've already organized it for ease of editing. It's worth noting that all of the entries in the file are variables. That means they're all set to a number. If the entry either doesn't exist or is set to something other than a number, it will always be treated as 0. Many of the variables are binary, meaning they'll only ever be on or off, 1 or 0. Setting these to a different number will also be treated as 0. Now, let's get into what each entry means. First is newgame. When you first start a new save slot, newgame is set to 1. All this does is preset your active party to the top row. If ever you change the variable back to 1, your party will be reset. Started, on the other hand, starts at 0. In this state, only the new game button is available and continue is grayed out. Once you have started the game, this entry switches to 1, meaning the continue button can now be clicked. Locked appears on game start, set to 1. Modifying this entry does nothing, and every time the game writes to the file, it sets locked back to 1, so there's no point in changing it that I've found. Mode determines whether you are playing adventure or fixed party. 1 means adventure and 2 means fixed party. Since there are no other game modes available, if you set this variable to anything else, it will simply stay as adventure mode. Diff is your difficulty. Choosing normal will set this to 1, and hard will be 2. However, you can manually change your difficulty to be easier or harder than these by choosing a lower or higher number. This affects enemy HP and attack damage, as well as how much experience and money you gain from defeating them. Cine dictates Fredbear's current location on the map. At game start, cine is 0, which means the opening dialogue plays. If ever you set it back to 0, you can watch the opening dialogue again. 1 is here, 2 is here, 3 is here, 4 is here, 5 is here, 6 is here, 7 is here, and 8 is here. After this, Fredbear is removed from the accessible map and hidden down below, where you can only reach him if you cheat to get out of bounds. He stays here indefinitely and has unending null dialogue until you open the portal to the Halloween update, at which point cine is set to 15 and Fredbear disappears. X and Y are your current coordinates. They originate from the top left corner of the map, although 0, 0 is treated as the default and will instead place you at spawn. Increasing X value will move you right across the map, and increasing Y value will move you down. Area determines the music, background, and enemies you encounter. There are trigger points that switch these automatically, but if you set the number manually, you can appear to be in the wrong area until you cross another trigger point. 0 is Fazbear Hills, 2 is Choppy's Woods, 5 is Dusting Fields, 8 is Lilygear Lake, which also puts you in a boat, 11 is Mysterious Mine, 14 is Black Tomb Yard, 17 is Deep Metal Mine, 20 is Pinwheel Circus, 23 is the no-clip mode I like to call glitch mode, 26 is Pinwheel Funhouse, and 50 is Geisler. Any number that doesn't correspond to any of these will default to Fazbear Hills. Seconds, min, and hour are pretty straightforward. How long you've been playing. You can set this to whatever you like, and the game will simply count up from wherever it is and also update the info file accordingly. Tokens is simply how many Faz tokens you have. Have, LV, and next each correspond to the characters. The number in front signifies which character. 1 is Freddy, 2 is Bonnie, 3 is Chica, etc. all the way to 48. Have determines whether or not the character is available to be chosen on your party. LV is what level the character is on. The level count is off by 1, so even though the file says 0, the game will say the character is on level 1. Level affects your character's HP and attack damage. Next determines how long until the character levels up, counting up to a number determined by a formula. If next is 0, it will display in-game as 100, though the file and formula is still treated as 0. S is for slot, meaning party slots. There are 8 slots for the 8 characters you want on your party. Inputting the number of the character you want will add that character to the team. Armor is your current armor level, or how much attack damage is blocked. Armor is increased by buying upgrades from Mendo. Reinforced gives you 1, Steel gives you 2, and Titanium gives you 10. But you can set this number to whatever you want, and it will block that amount of damage. AR also means armor, but this entry refers to whether or not you've bought the items from Mendo. AR1 is reinforced, AR2 is steel, and AR3 is titanium. Fish determines whether or not Dee Dee is visible on the map. It defaults to 0, meaning she's there, and you can go fishing. If it's 1, she is not there, so you have to wait for her to return before you can fish again. Pearl is simply how many times you've caught the pearl. Once it reaches 5, you will be awarded the Pearl Trophy and will receive the Pearl Bite. Find places a clock somewhere on the map. At 0, there is no clock visible. 1 places a clock here, 2 is here, 3 is here, 4 is here, and 5 is here. Key determines whether or not you have the key. Only if this is set to 1 will you have the key in your inventory and be able to open gates with it. Last appears as soon as you enter Animdude's boss fight. As far as I know, it exists only to ensure the boss fight takes place, as modifying it doesn't affect anything. C is for chip. 21 of these will appear in your save file, corresponding to the chips in the same order as your inventory. P is for bite, apparently. I don't know why. Again, they are numbered in the same order as your inventory. G, I suppose, can stand for Golden Freddy. In any case, it refers to whether or not you have set the clocks correctly. Each G entry is the same clock as the find entry. If the value equals 1, you played the game correctly and set the clock. If you've set all of them, the clock-ending portal will appear. SW is for switch. These unlock areas. 1 unlocks Choppy's Woods, 2 unlocks Lily Gear Lake, 3 unlocks Black Tomb Yard, 4 unlocks Pinwheel Circus, 5 unlocks Pork Patch, 6 is the button Snowcone is guarding, 7 is the unguarded button in Fazbear Hills, 8 is the button Supergoon is guarding, 9 is the button Overclock is guarding. W3 is kind of an odd one because it's the only jump point that doesn't have a switch to activate it. All it means is World 3, or the jump point to Dusting Fields, which you get as soon as you cross into Dusting Fields for the first time. Active refers to which 4 chips you're currently using. Active B is which bytes you're using. Reset position activates either when you've beaten the game or you've died. All it does is place you back at spawn in Area 0, regardless of what your X, Y, and area currently say. Only some of the beatgame entries will show up in the FNaF W files, even if you have achieved the others. Beatgame 1 means you've defeated Security, 2 means you've defeated Animdude, 3 means you've defeated Chipper's Revenge, and 7 means you've defeated Chica's Magic Rainbow. Beatgame 7 will also make Duskman appear dead whenever you enter his house. Portal means the portal to the Halloween update is open. Showend shows Duskman's final speech where Baby kills him. It sets itself to 0 after playing, but if you set it back to 1, you can watch the scene again. And that's the basic rundown. There's a lot more that can be said here, but in the interest of keeping this episode concise, I'll save that for later. See you next time!